All right, we live. But you think that guy will go viral before you taking your kids to the park to meet your prospective next suitor?
I didn't know that that's what you was. Anyway, I think Gaga is hilarious. If you
I
don't know
think
about
you knew
Gaga,
that. I think you knew what you was doing. You're a smart girl.
gosh,
I don't think you just walked in the park with your hair did, with your suit, looking.
I forgot to go live over here.
Oh well, we got a second before we start the show.
Oh, do we?
Yep, we're live though.
We're
So
live.
don't say anything crazy that may incriminate you. Don't talk about anything
Incriminating.
crazy. We know when you're ready.
I'm ready when you ready.
All right, let's get to work. Yes, and we are back with another one. Hello, family, and welcome to your new favorite podcast. As always, I'm your favorite Mason, and
You already know it's your girl Kori Deez, aka Lemon Squeeze, aka the host of whole, aka the best one, aka a whole lot of aka.
all that.
And today we got some extra family members joining us here today. Power Love Part 2. Dr. Walker's back on. Right? Welcome her back to Hush Your Mouth, everybody. That is a question.
Shout out to Dr. Walker. We got a lot of feedback about Dr. Walker, just hushing mouths left and right and letting us know and putting us on the game and just being amazing. So
At this
shout out to
point, I
Dr.
think
Walker.
maybe she needs like a Dr. Walker show. I don't know. We might have to start up. Today we also have another family member. Welcome. First time here on Hush Your Mouth Live. Corinne. Yeah, so y'all already know we're back here for Power Love Part 2. This
Numero
week,
dos.
we had, first of all, let's talk about the fact that we only made it to question 3 last week. It's crazy. That means we really dug really deep. Pause, according to Mason. But we're back. People love it. People want to see more of this and more of us. So we're gonna give the people what they want. Before we jump into our topic, y'all already know we got to do our regular mental health check-in. So I skipped. You were supposed to do that, Dr. Luke. I took your line. My bad.
Okay.
You got one job.
I have one. I got a few jobs.
Kick it to Dr. Walker.
So since you already started, usually what I ask patients is, what is one thing you did for yourself this week to show yourself love?
Who do you want to ask first?
Miss Lemon Squeeze 3.
Oh, me. Okay, that's me.
What do you?
So this week, I don't know. I took a bath. That sounds crazy, but it was really good though. It felt like really relaxing. It felt like a lot of like self-care. It was a different type of bath. It had like a lot of fruits and stuff in it.
Okay, all right.
And so,
I was worried. You know, there was a lot of news about people not bathing last
And I'm
week,
not
so
one
I
of
just
those
wanted to make
people.
sure, we didn't have that type of situation going on.
that wasn't me. No, I took like a little love bath. That was actually today. So it was good. It was actually to cleanse me because I was sick. If you heard me on Tuesday, you was here on Tuesday, I sounded horrible. You probably heard me snorting in the mic. I was it was bad. But I feel good. So now I gotta ask somebody else, what did they do this week? Okay, so Corinne, what did you do this week?
If you count in like the full week span, I got a colonic, which was amazing. I felt like I was immediately like 5-7 pounds lighter. And I was just like, damn, why didn't I get this sooner? Like, but I feel very much light, very much refreshed. Like, lost a lot of cravings and stuff that I had. So I feel like it got me like back on track. So I'm happy to have done that.
It's funny because I want to do that, but I am doing some diet stuff, and I lost 12 pounds. So you know what? I'm sorry, I had to add on to that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I lost 12 pounds.
Very nice.
Shout out to you.
Mason, what you do this week for yourself?
Let's see. I guess I was in tune with you guys because I definitely got a manicure and a pedicure, but it was one of those basic ones. I didn't do like the normal foot massage and all that stuff. So it was just a regular manicure, pedicure. And I did that today. So you did the bath today and I did, and not knowing that we both did that. So that's interesting that we both had a little self-love on the same day around the same times and all that stuff. So that's dope. So that's what I did personally. That's about it.
Do they charge you extra? Because you a man. I've seen a lot of Chinese people. I mean, a lot of nail salons charge extra.
So yeah, I do get charged extra, and I get way less than most women. But my hands are big. I'm like 6'5", so my hands are big. My feet are big, I guess. So I guess
No, that's not.
that's what it's about. But I mean, I get it regular, so pause. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But again, it's basic, just regular, cut and file and cuticles and, I do nail polish. That's a big thing. Like nail polish or no nail polish.
What do you mean, like clear nail polish?
Right.
Definitely clear. Like, yeah. You
Hey, I just want to.
No. That clarification was needed.
Yes, clear nail polish. Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, clear nail polish just because I like the shine. Sometimes I get it buffed, but that costs a little bit more. Pause.
How much are you spending for your nails and your feet? I just want to know. I'm sorry.
How much do I? It depends on where I go. So there's the regular hood spots that's about like 40 to 50. Then there's the more upscale, spots, and I'm looking at close to like 60, 70, 80. Yeah. So that's about it. But self-care is good. And I think men should definitely put some time into actually grooming and making sure that your nails are good. Women notice that. Women notice that. They notice your shoes. So, see, women's agreeing. Women agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
So, gentlemen,
that's true.
Make sure you get yourself cleaned up. Are we going to ask Dr. Walker how her week was? We're being selfish.
It was pretty general, but this week in particular, I did a lot of work with, unfortunately, with patients. But we started creating vision boards and looking at vision boards and being future oriented and removing a lot of the negative stigma that people always put in their life. So it was really good for me to see the work being done on a consistent basis. And I actually got in touch with an old friend of mine, and we began to kind of build on communicating and how he sees communication and the importance of it. So it was, for me, it was good. I know I'm always helping people, but actually helping people is a part of my self-help, my own mental health. I feel great when I can see the changes that, people state they want to have, and then we begin to work towards those things. So for me, that's what it was.
I know that's right, because I know my whole life you just been like cheering me on, like, oh, the hard work and dedication that I put into this girl did not just go out the window. I know.
You said I showed some results. Quick question, Dr. Walker, with the vision board, do you have tips on how to start a vision board and what you should do to start a vision board? Because I'm a big believer in vision boards, and I've heard different things on how people start it. So if you could put into three, just give us 3 tips on how to start a vision board, that'd be cool.
Have fun with it, be realistic with it, and don't put limits on it. This is your vision for yourself. There should be no limits. The limit is when you reach that point where you can say, I can go no further. And even with that, push yourself past your stop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well said. All right. So you want to recap what we did last week and how last week went and what we're going to jump into?
Yeah, so last week was amazing.
Definitely was.
We made it to question 3, as I said, but first we're going to jump back a little bit because Corinne wasn't present for that, and she did watch the show, and she was very passionate about question number 2, which a lot of people were very passionate about. How do you get out of what childhood survival? That was a two-part question, actually. It was like, what's the difference between being raised on love and survival, and then how do you get out of that? So we're gonna let her just jump into her answers about that. Then we're going to move right along to question number 3, because if you missed our responses, then you got to go back and watch episode number 1.
And we had some good questions. So our first question was, how important is love within your own personal development? Our second question was, what is the difference of being raised on love and raised on survival? And that's what Corinne's going to talk about. And it's interesting because I think me and Kori were both raised on survival. So it's a little bit different. Where Mel was here with us last week and she was raised on love. So she had a totally different perspective than the two of us had. And even us both being raised on survival, we still had different perspectives on certain things. So being raised on love and being raised on survival, while they're two separate things, even if you're in the same bucket, doesn't mean your experiences were the same. So now question number 3 was,
I'm sorry, Mason, before you get into that, did Dr. Walker, did you tell us about, you said you were raised on love, right? You came out of love, you was raised on love, right? No, survival. It was, I know, latchkey kids, but
what I said was the survival that my mother afforded me provided the love that I needed to move forward in my life.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So her mother took it on the chin and she went out there and she did what she had to do. Right. And so that way that Dr. Walker didn't have to be raised in survival. So that's basically what she said. See, I was listening.
He was on point. Where were you?
I was listening.
I wasn't listening, but I was here in the moment. That's really what matters.
All right. So Red had a lot to say about the next question, and that's where we're going to jump back into. The next question was, what is the power of parental love and support?
Wait, Corinne didn't give her overview.
That's her overview. That's the question, and then she's going to say all the things that she had to say about last week.
Oh, okay. So after the survival.
No, right now. It's her. It's on her.
Okay.
Go ahead, Corinne.
Last week was phenomenal. I mean, I feel like I watched that and I was just like snapping away most of the time at everyone's points because it was so valid. And so, just like you two as well, I also was raised heavily on survival. And so what's so funny about Kori and I mean, it's so many parallels between our lives that is just, I had to come out, I had to get on here. This was amazing because first of all, our names are the same. We both were in foster care. Like, it's just too many things that's like, okay, well, this is interesting. I've never experienced this before with anyone else. But because of our backgrounds with foster care, you are expected to, like, you know, you should be in jail by now. You should, you know, be doing all these other things. And instead, you turn that into something positive, something that fuels you. And so in terms of that, the power of parental love, I can speak from the place of lack, like not having that. And so this is where my response is coming from. But I know when you aren't getting that love that you need in the home, that unconditional love, you then are chasing that void outside of the house in numerous different ways, whether it's looking for that in another partner, whether it's drugs, whether it's you're going to be looking for some way to fill that. And oftentimes it's a pleasure seeking way. But the power of it, now you have somebody who's able to guide you and model for you what love really looks like. And so it sets the standards for you going through life. You're now not looking for love from this quote unquote daddy or mommy figure in a partner, but you know, you have that love within yourself that you can draw from when moments are critical. And so just like Dr. Walker mentioned, I wanted to make that distinguish, like you can be raised in love and still be living in probably like the hood or an area that's not the best. And even the same with people living in a house that's like more in a more privileged area. It doesn't mean that things don't happen to you in that setup too, to where it can be traumatic for your upbringing. And so in terms of like as Dr. Walker said, her mother grinded out and made sure that she didn't have to worry about things, right? You know, it's totally a different perspective on that sense. And then I know people who grew up pretty privileged, had everything they needed, had our love from their parents, and still ended up in circumstances that are affecting them to this day. But I think you can move past childhood trauma, and it's how you process and release it. You got to find an outlet or be willing to do something different so that you can end these generational curses. I know you spoke about that briefly last time, Corinne. Um, so what's important, I think the first part of that is like being aware and looking for the patterns. If you really want to make some type of change, like, okay, well, what am I doing differently this week, next week, or what plan do I have that can really set me up so I'm not living the same way, and so I can be doing something different for myself and my kids moving forward. I'm not going to go too long on that because I know we have other questions, but I just wanted to share that piece of my thoughts from last week.
Thank you so much. In the comments, because we didn't really have time to really address the family in the audience. So Kisses says, do you believe a person raised on survival and a person raised on love can both have a healthy relationship with one another? I think that they can. I think we addressed that. They can. They can if they want to, right? Like,
well, Mel kind of shared her relationship with her significant other, and that was part of the answer. And I had shared as well is that it's the openness and the willingness to communicate those differences, because you both come in with two powerful emotions. You're coming in one with, I have to survive and protect myself, but I also have another emotion, which is love, which love believes it supersedes everything else. You can conquer all things. But someone who is based on survival may not look at love the same way. They may look at love as a covering that they need to have to be and feel protected. So when it's two people coming into a relationship with those things, again, it goes back to the core belief of what you feel you're going to be able to share and to deconstruct, because survival is sometimes based in trauma. So you have to deconstruct that trauma in order to get to that place to not only give love, but to receive it in its fullness, because receiving love in its fullness will break away that survival mode, because now I trust you.
mm-hmm.
Boom. Boom.
Maracas? I don't know. I want some maracas now.
I can even share. I can even share. I'm sorry, on that topic as well, because I'm in one of those relationships right now with my child's father, and it's so funny because we grew up in two totally different, upbringings. And I grew up in survival. He grew up with unconditional love, and not have to worry about anything. And so, just like Dr. Walker said, you can make it work if both parties are willing to both give and receive, but also put the time in and effectively communicate. And so, it's not easy. Let's be real here. Is no part about that that's easy, because you're talking about wiring how people have come up, whether that's what they're used to their parents doing, what they're used to their friendships doing. So this side is bringing that, you're bringing, figure out a way to, okay, how are we going to make these puzzle pieces fit here? Or it's just not going to work. But both parties have to be willing to, I don't even want to say compromise, but come to a middle ground and an understanding that's going to be sufficient to
I like
withstand the relationship.
I like to say both people, because I'm also in that type of relationship, but I like to say, we know you're single, you're healing, we understand. You're gonna get
I am a whole person. I am not healing, I am a whole person.
We got you. But both people need to be willing to do the work. I don't like the word compromise, because everybody says, no, I'm not a team player because I don't compromise and all that other stuff. I think that I compromise a lot. But it might not be to the standard of someone else's compromises, right? They might not be real drastic compromises. So I want to say, do the work. I think do the work. Doing the work sounds better. Makes me feel like I'm a team player. So we're on what?
Continue. I'm just hearing these comments.
So we're back. We're on the power of love and parental support, right? And I don't know, we got into it briefly, and I basically said they set your expectations of what the standard of love is, right? They model how to give you love. They instill your morals, your values, and your principles that you will then carry on with you for a lifetime. But then we started talking a little bit about how they help you maintain consistent relationships, right? And value happy, just relationships in itself. Because really, honestly, like the lack of or the presence of parental support teaches us how to treat everyone else around us, right? I know that I don't keep friends for a long time. I noticed that. I do not. I be like, when I told Dr. Walker one day, she thought this was crazy. I said, I have mental funerals for people, and that might not be okay. Like, and she just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But I was so serious. Like,
You've said that before.
I'll be that serious. R.I.P.
I think Dr. Walker had something to say because she.
I understand the concept of having mental funerals in your head for people because it's your level of disassociation with that person because that person has represented something in your life that you don't want to be a part of. Mm-hmm. Right? But how many of those funerals have you went back and put flowers on?
A few.
We got to get the sound.
Sorry, go. We can talk.
A few, but I mean, I think when I say that, it's not like I think maybe it might be what's needed for me in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. Because I have to now pull myself back. And everybody, if you watch the show, then you know I'm like one of those people that either I'm all in or I'm all out. There's no middle ground with me. And I don't know if that has something to do with the traumas that I went through. Maybe that has a lot to do with that. So when I say like I have these mental funerals for people, I be so serious and I be so strong in how I feel. But then later on, I might say, dang, was I wrong for, taking it to that extreme level and cutting that person off by the wayside? Did that person really deserve that? I sometimes go back and question myself because I do know that I can be such a hard person. You know what I mean? And I'm a hard person to deal with myself. So I got to start to reevaluate some things.
Talked about that on Tuesday.
We did. So what do you think what are the results of strained relationships with parental figures for both women and men? Who wants to jump at that first? Mason, no, Dr. Walker, because you shut it down. So let Mason answer something because he don't be answering.
In all honesty, I think Corinne kind of touched on it a little bit when she talked about your relationships, and I think I touched on it last week as well when I said that your relationships with everybody is affected by your first encounter with people, which is usually your parents. So it affects your friendships, it affects your romantic relationships, it affects the way you make friends, it affects the friends that you make, it affects your entire outlook on things. So I think it's very important, whether it's positive, negative, or anything in between. And I think it shapes the rest of your life. Can you change it? Yes. But your initial interaction with your parents or lack thereof is what shapes your mindset going forward.
So I personally think what that looks like is for a guy, I think if he has mommy issues, he won't respect women.
Speaking as a guy, I don't agree.
Really?
Speaking as a guy, I don't agree.
Well, you don't have mommy issues though.
No, but I'm saying it's never. I think sometimes we assume that, like, for instance, if we were brothers and sisters and we were raised in the same household with the same parents, but our parents is an alcoholic, right? There's extremes to it. There's people that'll be like, yeah, I'm going to follow in my parents' footsteps and become an alcoholic too. And there's somebody that goes, that is the example of exactly what I don't want to be. Exactly. So I think that you can't really say on a whole. And I think that as a man, like it varies. It has other factors to it that could enhance it or detract from it in my experience.
But see, that's the thing about the mommy issues. That's like mommy issue results from abuse, emotional or physical, and a failure to provide emotional support. And that carries over into your adulthood. The same thing goes for daddy's issues for females, right? So, I don't know.
Keep going.
I think it's of setting up a scene of what that relationship looked like. So, for example, my father growing up, I felt like he gave me a bunch of gifts, showered me with gifts, but was emotionally unavailable. I don't care about jewelry and all these nice things. I want a relationship. I want the quality time. And somehow I end up attracting people that are emotionally unavailable. And I'm talking about in terms of the guy sense. This is when I was single. But you attract people that will give you a second chance of like working through what that would look like. So sometimes you feel like, okay, I have a victory here. But until you get that, you end up just doing this race of trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I fix this? How can I get over it? And for some people, it never gets resolved, and you may end up in toxic relationships. But when you take the time to take a step back, as you said, Kori, and reflect on those, the reflection is needed. So you can say, okay, am I doing something different? Is it me? Did I have a factor to play in this? You got to hold some of yourself and other people accountable.
Like, I think that, and so we mentioned this briefly when we jumped into this question last week when we started talking about my own personal relationship and how I handle mothering my child and her dealing with her paternal father, I guess. And I basically, so I want to put this out there. First of all, his relationship with his dad was already strained, right? So like, if your dad was living around the corner from you and had a whole nother family, why would you not, even though that hurts you, why would you not, I would think you shouldn't do it, but why would you not then display those actions? You shouldn't, right? That goes back to Mason saying the whole alcohol thing. Either one person's going to say, I'm definitely not going to be like that, or somebody's going to either follow in those footsteps. Unknowingly and unconsciously, I believe, I want to hope, that he's doing that type of stuff unconsciously. That's me just throwing up. That's me throwing like a little bow out there, like, like what's it called, a raptor or something? I don't know. But those are the reasons why I feel like I don't want my daughter to grow up with those daddy issues, because I feel like you are doing the same thing that was done to you, and look how that's turning out. And then people were saying like, well, I think people were getting misunderstood with how Dr. Walker responded to me in that aspect. So I want her to tie all of this in so we could just move on to question number 4.
Okay, so parental love and family time are essential in raising children, whether you're together or you're separate. And it does go back to what Mason has shared. And I am a firm believer in that. You can grow up in a household, case in point, just like he said with alcoholism, me and my sister grew up in the same household. I'm excellent with money. I asked my aunts them, did we grow up in the same house? Because there's no way we possibly could have, because she does not value money. So it's amazing to me. So it does come down to what you see is what you learn, but what lesson did you get? So when you go forth as an adult and you begin to go into your person, you can look back at those lessons and see how alcoholism was a negative and how it caused abuse or mistreatment or whatever it caused, and you decide, this is not the life I want, let me go this way. And you may thought that was lit and I want to be just like that. So it comes down to your personal choices, and it's driven by that core belief, because we hope that all children, our children, grow up to be happy and healthy. But we also want to help them to lead a purposeful and meaningful and a good life. And what does that look like? We don't know what it really looks like until they grow up and to be adults. So as parents that you all are, it's like trial and error. You learn from the mistakes you've seen and you adapt to what you want in your child's life. Even as you shared with your daughter's father, and that, he witnessed the situation that they lived around the corner. He may not have internalized it, but you put a perception on him that he failed to upkeep. So you let yourself down because you thought he should have done this because he saw it. So it's putting that perception on a person that when they fail, you become angry and upset with them because you think they should know better. And sometimes what they saw is what they learned, and that's how they operate. So it's removing that perception from off of people and allowing them to be who they are in every minute that they exist. If that kind of, so it is. It's honestly, there's no correct answer for parenting. The love is what the foundation is, and what that love looks like is what you've learned and what you have unlearned, because it's not what you desire. Like Corinne shared, her dad showered her with all these things except the time and attention. So to her, she already made in her mind, these material things don't mean anything to me because I've had that. But if you spend this hour with me and we just sit here and you rub my feet or we talk, that's going to mean the most to me. But the key thing is that some people who enter into relationships, they don't have that talk. What's important to you? Not what you can bring to the table, but what's important to you. Where's your heart at? How was it when you? What did you need? What can I provide for you that you didn't get? And how can I help you understand what you need? So it's always that communication, but it's the type of communication. It's the active listening, the structured feedback, and the clarification. So there's no miscommunication. There's no I thought you meant. No. Say what you mean. And if you don't know, can you explain that to me? Because I thought you said the sky was blue, but I see it being purple. So I need to talk to you about that.
And I always say that.
One more time. What was those 3 things? Those 3 things. Could we just outline those 3 things one more time?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, just those 3 things. You just said 3 things when communicating. The 3 things.
Active listening, the feedback, and the clarification. And that's just like 3 things out of a list of 15 for effective communication, which I do in patient sessions. Because you'll be surprised how many people, they'll say, I don't know how to communicate.
Or how many people think that they do know how to communicate and they actually don't know how to communicate.
And they don't. And it's couples that I've had who've been married for 20 years who never went over core beliefs. So now he wants to buy a house and she don't went and spent the money on a hotel room because she wanted to go out with her friends. They never communicated.
And I always say that people can only meet you with, like, people should meet people where they are, but people can only love the way they know how to love, right? That whatever that looks like. That, do you believe that, Dr. Walker? Incorrect?
Come on, can go. You can. I've said a lot.
You're asking if people can only love the way they have been. Repeat that
like,
question.
You can only love the way, I believe, you can only love the way that you know how to love in that moment.
Okay, so just like Dr. Walker said, it's a process of the learning and unlearning, though, right? You have to sit back and have a review process for yourself and say what's working, what are some patterns and some narratives that I've accumulated over the years because I've grown up with that no longer make sense for me in where I am. And that's with love, that's with anything, right? So if you're looking at my mom growing up, her being background, money don't grow on trees, yada yada. That's one of the things that you've been wrapped around in your head and told. Does that make sense for me right now? Absolutely not. And so it's about going through and listening to these things, right? Conditional love. I just come home, let's say I came home with a 98. Okay, where's the 100? Oh, well, I'm not happy unless you get 100. This is now going through and sifting through. Okay, that's not really true for me. Even if I know I tried my best, it still doesn't matter. And I'm still lovable. All right. So it's a point of going through if you want it to work. Again, the communication is such an important piece. And I think a lot of people jump over that place of like, let me be real with you. Let me, open up and be transparent about what I want and what I need. And because they think it's going to make somebody run away from them. No, you are you're setting yourself up for failure if you want to be hiding and not full of, not handling yourself in integrity. You are going to set yourself up for a relationship that's not going to be successful.
Okay. Mason, you're just
I'm actively listening. But I somewhat agree with you. I think, and I agree with both of you actually, because I think you do start off with the person where they're at, and I think that you could grow from there. I think once you're shown a different way, and you may be like, you know what, I never thought about something like that. That's the growing process. So I think that the communication gets you to those growing processes where things change for you. So it can change, but yeah, you start off with where they're at. Then you start having those honest conversations. You start asking those questions that people just seem to bypass as they get into these long relationships or short relationships.
And Dr. Walker, real quick, I just want to ask you, at what stage of the dating phase should you have these conversations?
Now we agreeing there's a dating phase?
I'm going to be very honest with you.
The romantic stages.
It depends on, and this is my personal. It depends on your age and what it is you're looking for.
True.
The second one. Yeah. Age, I think, but that what you're looking for is so important.
But because I've met 24-year-old men who are ready to settle down and move into a whole stage of relationship. And I've encountered men who are 51 who've had a relationship and they never going back. I'm going to be in these streets because they calling my name. And then I've met some ones who are 37 who are ready to settle, but they've come from trauma and they don't even know how to get out of the trauma. So for me, it depends on really what you want and understanding what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you understand what you want, it makes a difference in what you pursue.
Mm. Oh, understanding what you want makes a difference in what you pursue. You need to write a book at this point. Okay. We had some really good points with that. Did we miss anything? Anybody? No? Okay. So, can love conquer all, especially repressed trauma? Correct.
Can love conquer all? I think it can, and again, I don't want to sound redundant, but it comes with being able to do the work. If you really wanted to make it work, I think it has to be work put in from both sides. The moment you are putting in more than your partner or perceive it as that, you're gonna probably feel like you're getting duped and like it's not worth your time and your energy. But I think it can, because it allows you to let down your guards. If you're talking about somebody being brought up in survival, you don't trust anyone. Okay. And so that trust is such a critical point, especially being with somebody who is full of wanting to give unconditional love. Even when they do show it, you may not even know how it looks, or you're just going to, you're going to want to fight it. You're going to want to run away from it. But if you lean into that and figure out where the growth is in that, and if you truly want it, I think it can be. And that's where I think you see people in those relationships where it's like, oh, she put on some happy weight. Yeah, it really affects you. And I feel like it makes your skin glow a little bit differently when you actually are truly and deeply in love and in sync with your partner.
Okay. Mason?
I believe she said it all for me. It's honestly, I think love does conquer all. I think loving and giving people what they need, how they need it, changes everything. So for me, I always say it's not, treat people as you'd like them to treat you, but treat people as they like to be treated. And then you level that up and say, love people, not the way you want to be loved, but love people how they need to be loved. So, you follow that, and I think pretty much you could get through anything.
So I love all y'all answers. Y'all seem like some real hopeless romantics, and I love that about y'all. But y'all know I wouldn't be me if I didn't be me. So I don't think that you can love trauma away from another person. Healing takes time, an acknowledgement, right? Your relationship can remain strong, but you have to have these key factors, I believe. So you have to, one, believe and understand your person's trauma, right? Then you have to resist the urge of trying to fix them. You cannot fix someone's trauma. They have to fix their trauma. They have to go through their healing process on their own. You have to, like Dr. Walker said, like Corinne said, like Mason said, like we all said, you have to maintain a healthy communication and learning not to take things personally. But trauma repair is a self-journey, and with great support and patience from your partner, it may feel like love is conquering that, but it's really like a journey of self-love and self-discovery. Now, Dr. Wolf, you could touch my mouth, or...
I just realized with that, man, that's how... hold on to me. But, trauma is not just a physical or emotional event. Trauma is a psychological event. Trauma affects the chemical balances in one's body. And you can almost look at it as that fright, flight, or freeze in a person's life, right? To go back to the top of your question, do I think love can conquer all and erase or remove trauma from a person's life? No, I don't. I believe you can love a person in the midst of their trauma and support them through that process, because trauma can show up at different points, at different times, and at different experiences, depending on the person, right? And it's funny. I recently put up a post on Facebook, and it said, I could not heal from my trauma because I pretended it didn't happen. Most people who go through trauma want to avoid that experience. But what they wind up doing is constructing trust issues. Because if it looks like something that's going to hurt me, I'm out. If it looks like something that's going to hurt me, I'm going to freeze because I don't know which way to go because I want to be here, but I don't know what's on the other side of that door. Or I'm going to fight. And if I fight you, it's going to be a problem. So I believe you can love a person who is going through unresolved trauma, but your love for the person doesn't change the trauma, but it begins to allow them to heal in that process.
Mm-hmm. I was right, y'all. Sorry, this is not about who's right or wrong here.
No.
But let me just flip it on the flip side, though. There were some people who are in traumatic situations who all they want is love. But even in that, if that person who's loving them does something that's out of whack, that doesn't line up with what you've been doing, like if a person brings you flowers every day for 30 days, but on that 31st day you don't get those flowers, where's your mind going? What are you thinking? What changed? What did I do wrong? Who are you seeing? Who got my flowers? All of those things begin to snap in the person's brain, and it brings up the past trauma that looks like something is occurring. So trauma's deep. Trauma is very, very deep. And you can't get into it all because I know you got 24 more questions, but trauma is very deep.
Trauma is
I want to piggyback on that, because in saying that love trumps all, I'm not saying like suddenly the traumas and everything have been released from you. That's definitely was not what I'm saying there. Because you still do every day, you have to make a conscious effort to make that improvement if you want to see something different, right? So that's you being aware of your actions, that's you being aware of your emotions, and doing that a check-in with yourself. But it comes with the work, right? On the trauma, when things happen to you, I come from a place of energy. Everything is energy, right? So that energy of trauma is in you on a cellular level. And so me talking about being able to love conquers all, I'm talking about in terms of like frequency of love. You coming out from a stage of operating in a place of survival, you're vibrating differently. You're totally vibrating differently. And you're not even thinking about, you don't have the capacity for the most part to welcome in unconditional love, because you just don't have the space for that right now until you're able to process it enough to allow these things into your life. I was coming from that point. So I think it is possible, but you have to still be willing to do that work to get through that. And then at the same time, a lot of people I think are often looking for the butterflies every day with their partner. What type of love are you looking for? You know what I'm saying? Are you looking to get sparks every day, all day? I think at some point.
No, you are not. That's right.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking for it in terms of this Hollywood type of love, no, you're not getting that every day, all day.
That's so true. That's so true.
But the unconditional partner that's going to be there for you even without that 31st day of flowers, then okay, what are you really waiting for? Are you in this for the long one, or just for what you can get out of this?
No, and so Mason's being funny because on the previous episode, which you guys have to go watch, I was basically talking about the fact that I think that you should get butterflies every day, so that's why.
So she was the example you were giving, basically, is what she said.
So, that was me. Okay. So I think we all had some really great points. But I just don't think that love can you can love trauma away. No. Not repressed trauma. And
you know, it was just to continue with that question. I think the way we all looked at that was totally different, because the way I looked at it was about an environmental situation where somebody was aware of their trauma and they were trying to get to that next level and creating an environment where there's support for your progression. So that's how I kind of looked at it. So I kind of looked at it differently. So I get what you're all saying. So I think we all looked at the same question, because I looked at it from my eyes and my trauma and how would I like to be. So that's the way I answered that one.
The key word was repressed.
as Dr. Walker says, we all have different opinions, thoughts, and the way we see things. So no answer is right or wrong. But however, how we see things is why we're having discussions.
But I just want to add too, the love that heals trauma is your love for yourself through that trauma. It's not from somebody else. It's what you're willing to deconstruct for yourself. That takes a lot of heart and a lot of work to face the things that you believe broke you.
So once you face that, like in my particular example, once you face that and you're getting through that and you're aware of your needs, wants, and desires and stuff like that and your trauma, where do you go from there? Does that make sense?
It makes sense in what I'm hearing. So I'm gonna give you a light example. So if you're talking about trauma in a relationship, and to know if you're healed from that trauma, it's almost like if you go around that person and you don't want to gut punch them no more. That's how you know you're over it. If when you're around a person who brought you so much disdain and trauma, and you're not moved by that person's presence, you know where you stand. Because it doesn't bother, it doesn't shake you the way it would shake you when you weren't healed from it. Does that make sense?
Definitely does. Thank you for checking for understanding as well. We are communicating. Go ahead.
We are communicating.
Well, I know I'm still traumatized. That's what she just told me. I'm traumatized because I be
We're all traumatized. I own that.
I own it.
I own that too.
I'm sorry. Did we skip a question? Because I think that was like second question of the second segment. Did we skip the love eliminate fear question?
No, that's in there. That's the next one actually. So
okay.
I was about to get there. So go ahead, Corinne, just ask.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Does love eliminate fear?
Oh, I can kick this off? Ooh.
You can kick it off, girl.
All right. For me, I think it's a yes and no question. And I say that because for both love and fear, I think one side of it is instinctual and the other side of it is learned. So when you look at like fear, right? Kids are born fearless, but instinctually there's like, if something's coming at your face, you're going to blink. You have that fight and flight response. That's instinctual. And then I think learned fear can look like, oh my God, I'm scared of talking in front of people because my mom didn't like speaking to people. So you can pick up and learn fear the same way you can pick up and learn love based on what was modeled. But at the same time, you have a love for your parent naturally. But I think that love can eliminate the learned part of fear. And for me, I feel like that's just accepting God. I feel like there's almost like no place for fear with certain things, and you realize that you're like protected and that God has you covered with things. I just move with that sense of mind. But I think it's possible. I think interestingly enough too, if you look at it, if you think humans are animals go into fear mode as well, right? Let's say you're the gazelle eating food and suddenly a lion pops up. Boom! Now you're in flight mode to get up out of there, but then you calm down at a point and that fear is gone. I think the issue with humans is that often people live in long-lasting fear, and that itself can come out in different ways, whether it's the anxiety, depression, all these different things, or you could have fear of the unknown, fear of doing something bigger and better because you don't know what that looks like for you. But I think those things can be overcome. I don't know if I've jumped around too much or if it's clear or not, but yes and no. That's just the answer to that question for me.
Yes and no. Okay. Makes sense.
Correct. I agree. I think that, well, actually, I just think that love doesn't eliminate fear. I don't think that takes fear away from things. I think it gives you courage, but there's still fear. I don't think that fear is something that is eliminated by love. But then I have a different look on fear. I think fear is healthy, but that's a story for a different
No, we want your stories because we always hear mine. So let's tell us.
There's no story. I just think that fear is a healthy thing. And I think that fear, the best things in life is on the other side of fear. I think sometimes fear is something that you build up in your mind and your head, and it keeps you from getting to places that you always wonder, man, I wish I would have done this years ago. And what was keeping you there was fear. So I think that fear sometimes keeps you from things that you would enjoy or you rather be. It's also healthy. It's also instinctual. It's also the thing that keeps your awareness up. Living in certain areas, your awareness is up because you know that this follows by this, but it's a part of fear. You don't want something bad to happen, so you're protective. We're fearful of our kids growing up. We don't want bad things to happen, so we're protective. So to answer the question, does love eliminate fear? No. But fear is healthy for me.
Okay.
For me.
It's a very different approach and perspective. I didn't expect that. I'm proud of you, Mason.
Well, I appreciate it. Your communication is great. You're a great team player.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so does love
water.
To answer the question of does love eliminate fear, I say yes. Look at that, guys. Yes. Love and fear are two primal human emotions, right? You can't feel them both at the same time. But light removes darkness. Come on, I'm about to take it there, y'all. Where's my Elton Marcos going on? So love can remove fear. But first you have to acknowledge your vulnerability to fear and what you are fearing, right? And then you have to be open to change. Look at that therapist. She over there so proud of me. I know she's proud of me. Like, go ahead, Dr. Wood.
That's the I want to say something face, but go ahead. I've seen that several times. But I'm gonna wait my turn. I have something to say.
So I agree that fear and love are two very primal emotions. I agree with Mason that love does not cover fear in a natural perspective, because then you started to talk about light covers darkness and all things. And I don't know if you guys do know, I am a Christian, and the only love for me that covers fear is God's love. Like, for me, let me be very clear. The love of God will cast away all fear, right? Because I know the love of God is unconditional in all that it matters to me. In a natural perspective, it depends on what you fear. When you're talking about fear and love, are you talking about the fear of love or a fear of a mouse, and love's going to cover that fear because you're scared of that mouse? So it's a very broad, no, don't make the face.
Because we're talking about the fear of love. Is that correct to the person who wrote this out?
No, any fear.
Oh, like no, I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's any fear.
Oh, it was any fear.
Like if you're scared to trust, can love now conquer your fear of trusting people? I mean, but in that aspect,
relationships.
We're talking about relationships.
Yeah, in a relationship, yeah. I mean, it works with the fear of mouse. Love can't conquer. If you're scared of a mouse, just because I love you.
Believe everybody by themselves. Let a mouse come, I'm going the other way. It's not going to happen.
But fears in a relationship, like trust and stuff like that.
Honestly, for me, and I'm not talking as Dr. Walker, I'm talking as Walker, they are parallel in correlation, but one can't. Fear is actually stronger in a relationship than love. And I say that because when you become fearful of the relationship, you run. But when you in love in the relationship, you'll stay and figure it out. And figuring out is not so much like you said, it's not about the compromising, it's about the work. And what is the work? The work is the communication. The work is identifying what I need in this moment that's going to release the fear, or what I like to refer to as anxiety. Because it's an anxiety response that is produced when you're in fear. You're not thinking about love. You're thinking about how can I get up out of this situation? You're thinking about how it's going to affect me. You're thinking about, oh my God, my nerves, like what's going to happen? That unknown factor begins to overshadow what could be love. So it's a lot of different components, because relationships can be very complicated when you start talking about fear and love. And then can love conquer fear? It can conquer the fear of being lonely, but does it conquer the loneliness? It can conquer the idea of, waking up with somebody, but does it bring you the happiness to know that I woke up? So it's what you look at. Like I know sometimes I go left, but there's so many components to what you guys present that you need to look at all of them. And in general, do I really think that love can conquer fear in my life? Depends on what I'm afraid of. I gotta be honest. It all depends on what I'm afraid of.
Oh, that's some real stuff. We ain't got no sound effects today, Mason. I'm just so sick of you because I just need my sound effects.
I apologize. She was saying something real and we wanted to listen. So here we go.
No, I agree with you. But what about, well, I mean, this is, I believe, without a question. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hush Your Mouth. To just getting here. You missed a lot, but we're here still for a little while. I don't even know if we could bring the fears of being like the parental fears into this conversation and how love can eliminate that fear.
Well, that I agree with.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Right. That's like hands down, without a doubt, I think. What do you agree with on that?
I agree that parental love for a minor who is experiencing difficulties, the love of the parent provides the comfort and the surety that things are going to be okay. But that also goes back to the trauma, I think, from question 3 about what is parental love. It's protection. It's providing that child who's afraid of the bullies at school, who's afraid of what's under the bed, or who's afraid of being abandoned because maybe a parent died. That parental love is what begins to instill in a child what a parent really is and what a parent can be in that child's life. So it kind of ties back to that.
And while I agree with you on that, and I 100% agree with you on that, I'm going to tell you a mistake that I was making during my parenting stages. My kids think I'm crazy, right? They like, oh my God, she's going to go to this school and she's going to turn it up. But then that makes them a little bit fearful to say, Ma, this kind of like happened, or this person's bothering me, because they don't know. Because now they fear, they love me so much that they fear for something to happen to me when I go out and try to defend them. Does that make sense? So we as parents need to also be mindful of how we're exhibiting that type of love to our children. Because I'm the one that would I'll beat that kid up on the playground, take me to jail. I used to say that, and my kids are like, Mom, I don't want you to go to jail. No, your kids don't want you to go to jail, people.
No, they don't.
They love you. So don't say that. I'm better now. I had a baby at 16 years old though. But.
And I can share a story. I have a story to share. So when I was in 8th grade, I was a problem kid. I had a mouth. I had to always talk back for some strange reason. My mother, she wasn't with it. So I had to tell her, you're gonna come to my school. Like, my mother used to wear her jeans, her little sneakers. She's from Harlem, so you just can imagine. So I was like, Mommy, please put on the suit. Do not come to my school with your sneakers on, because they're gonna think you're gonna fight the people. So I get it. Like, I want my mother to have this whole persona. I need you to wear this suit. And mind you, it was like summertime or springtime. I put the whole wool suit. I know she was hot as hell, but I needed her to come there and present as a well-stocked parent, right? I said, you can beat me when I get home, but please come to the school with a suit. Because I didn't want anyone to have a perception of my mother as anything but what she was, which was my mother, which was dear to me. So that's the same thing. You look at your kids, they look at you on a normal day, and it's almost like I knew my mother would do anything in the world for me, and that was the best feeling of my whole entire life, up until the point where she died. Like, I knew she would do anything in the world for me, and that's what every child wants from their parent. The parent that will go the extra mile and whatever that looks like. And that's the thing. And as funny as the memory may be for you, that's what they're going to remember. Not so much the action, but knowing that you would do anything to protect me. And that's so important for a child.
Applaud.
That is true.
Yeah.
I heard that in terms of parenting with a child, I think you like you said you're gonna do anything for your child. I'm even thinking like if you have a fear of, I don't know, beetles or something like that, and you suddenly saw a beetle near your child, suddenly that fear is out the window. I'm gonna make sure my baby's
Exactly.
protected and safe and covered. And so in
Right.
that particular sense, the protection sense, yeah, your fears are out the window entirely.
Or even with this whole thing with COVID, like a lot of people's kids have to be quarantined, and they might suffer from illnesses themselves. But I'm not gonna just quarantine and not be next to my kid. Like if I gotta
Right.
catch it, I gotta catch it. That's just how that gotta go
Right.
down. And whatever you feeling, that we gonna feel this together.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have a fear, but that's what I'm saying. What's up, Mason?
Next question.
Go ahead.
Can true love change your life in a relationship and your overall mental health? Go ahead, Kori. We've all answered first.
I know. I was waiting for this moment. I didn't
Oh,
know
okay.
it would be this question. So love can improve your overall health. Love is great. It makes you feel good. It does something to your mind, your body, and your soul. It counteracts the fight or flight way of thinking. Being in love works wonders to your mental health when associated with other positive changes. It reduces stress. Love correlates with security and trust. The consistent, safe feeling equates to lack of worry, which again reduces stress levels. And this is coming from the person with a lot of mental health problems. I feel like since I've been in a stable, loving relationship, that I overall been a lot better. I think that like a lot of people might not notice, a lot of people may notice, but in this past year and a half, I lost one of the most important people in my life. Like, you know what I mean? And I think my relationship came in a time frame that I needed to have that, because I probably wouldn't be okay if I didn't have that support system. Because my support system is cool, but it's nothing like having like in home every day throughout your good days, your bad days. You look good, you don't look good, your breath, whatever the fuck is going on. like you know what I mean? It's something about having that love and support there, and I appreciate that. So although I did acknowledge more of my depression and my anxiety throughout this phase, during this relationship, I've been more in tune with my mental health. And I think it's because I'm trying to make a relationship work. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I have to be willing to acknowledge the things that I went through. Before, I was not open to therapy. I was not open to change. I was not open to somebody trying to tell me about me. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, love can definitely improve. It makes you see yourself. Love makes you see yourself. Cause somebody else sees you.
Mm.
I know.
Shout out to Side Panel. Thank you, Side Panel. We appreciate you.
Oh God. Corinne. I'm gonna just go to Corinne because you didn't seem like you were ready, Nathan.
I think in terms of mental health, I think some people really, that's real, first of all. And some people really need that. Like some people really need um like certain drugs and stuff to keep them balanced in a certain way. And love is has nothing to do with that balance that they need. Because you're talking about cellular level things working not working correctly or connecting the way they should. So in that sense, no. For some people, no, I don't think true love actually can improve their mental health. Um, on the other side of that, I think it's also the willingness to accept it and receive it for what it is, and to accept your partner. And so I think it varies case by case, and you're perceptive and where you're coming from, right? If you're coming from a trauma background and never experienced it, you're going to fight that every which way possible. Whether it's true, whether it's fake, you're just gonna have trust issues from behind that. I don't think. Uh, yeah, I don't think it can. I think it matters based on the relationship, on the people, and your perception. Honestly.
I agree.
I mean, I think for me, I think that a lot of the things that, well, in my past relationships, which obviously were not true love, right? Because they were past relationships. Now, I wasn't experiencing love the way I needed to, so it heightened my anxiety, it heightened my stress levels, it did something to my mental health that made me crazy and erratic. Like I was like bugged out, crazy, like stab your tires, crazy stuff. We're not going to incriminate ourselves here on the live, but I was crazy, and I think that being that I really do feel like I'm experiencing true love, I don't have those worries anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a real big deal for especially someone who has real life, well, not saying that, real life traumas, real life mental health issues, people that they know. Like, I know for a fact that my partner will never leave me, like, never, like, unless I do something to make them leave me, which is like something so extreme, like disrespectful. But, no. What is going on? Okay, go ahead, Mason or Dr. Walker, whoever wants to shoot it.
Oh, let me go before the good doctor. The good doctor shuts it down. So for me, the way I looked at that was like you could look at it in several different ways. I know you said specifically relationships. So my relationship that I'm thinking of is from like a dad to his kids and stuff like that. So I felt like my life changed when I became a dad and when I fully embraced being a dad. So I feel like for me, my overall mental health changed, my focus changed, the things that I valued became different. I think that for me, it did change my life, and I think that that's for me the truest love that I've ever received and been a part of, and the most important love for me. So for me, true love can change your life, and I think it can overall change your mental health and it gives me great joy every time I'm around my kids, every time I'm around one of my daughters. And you know, I'm just sitting there. Sometimes I just look at them and they're not doing anything, but I just look at them. And I think for me that it's everything.
Mason, I love the way you love your kids. I love the way you love your daughters. I can't wait till we have that episode that I want to have.
No.
But I really do feel like I want you to fall in love. I can't wait for us to come on Hush Your Mouth and you just be like in love and in a relationship. I
have fallen in love. I told you, I'm like in love with them. Like
no, I want you to be in
I am super like I don't even know. Like that's a pretty tall order there, buddy.
The reason why you can't be in a relationship is because you like super like in love with your kids.
No, it's because I have standards and I just like I'm on a path, and if you're not on that same path, we're just not going there.
Well, send me the list of the stuff that you require so I could put out an ad or something.
A list. We are not putting out an ad. No, this is not swipe left, swipe right. Do not go in my DMs. I'm good.
Dr. Walker.
Love definitely has a positive impact on your mental health when you're in a relationship. Even when you're not dealing with mental health issues, the chemistry of love between two people sets off endorphins in your body like no other. Like it's almost like you said that you want the butterflies every day. And contrary to what Mason may think, you technically can get those butterflies every day when there is somebody in your life who sparks you every day that you wake up. You literally like, this person is me and I am this person. We complete one another to the point where it's just an unrestricted joy. It's rare, but it's there. It can happen. And even in scientific studies, it has shown that love does have a positive effect on a person's mental health. For so many different facets. It's a lot of different facets for that.
Mm-hmm. T Mason, the butterflies is out there. Tina, I don't know where you at.
She also said it's rare.
Oh, well, what I have is rare, but I'm gonna get them butterflies.
Talk that talk.
I'm gonna get them butterflies. Okay, y'all. What is selfless love? So before y'all jump into that, I actually had did a poll about this last week, or I asked a question, and someone responded, and okay, so this was from Caitlin. She responded. She said, "The definition, not sure. If someone asks me what love is and how I know, Ryan is the one. Her husband's name is Ryan, so shout outs to you guys, Caitlin and Ryan. I say that he's the reason I know I have a soul, because what I feel for him goes that deep into my being, and the only other emotion to ever sink that deep into is the illness I felt during chemo and stuff. But that's another story. Basically, love in itself is a power, she thinks. And then someone else said that you can be yourself around that person. Like, I don't know, someone else said that. That was Fatima who said that you can be yourself around that person and that person doesn't judge you. That's a person being selfish and loving, selfless, and loving you unconditionally. I had other ones, but I can't go find them. That was too much. So what do you believe is selfless love? I can tell y'all, loving selflessly means you have enough love and respect for your partner and you're not afraid to do what's best for them. Even if it may discomfort you, right? And you're willing to compromise, this is that word that I hate, and sacrifice. I'm working on selfless love because I be into myself a lot, even in love. That's bad. Makes sense.
I mean, for me, it's one and the same. I think that love is selfless. I think when selfish love isn't really love, in my perspective. So for me, love is selfless. It's the caring of someone. I'm not going to say more than, but the caring of someone to extreme amounts and levels. So I think that for me, that's love. Love is selfless.
Corinne.
Yeah, just like what Mason said. I feel like in order to love someone, you have to kind of like see a piece of yourself in them, and so you put your wants. I don't want to say needs, but you kind of put your wants second to theirs to ensure that they're cared for, they have what they need. Yeah.
Dr. Walker.
It's pretty much, again, my favorite thing is to say it's subjective to what you believe, but selflessness in its own, it is really laying down yourself at the disposal of another person, and it takes so much trust to do that. If I was listening to some of the comments that you said people have read, being yourself, around the person, like you're able to walk around them with holy drawers on and not worry about they're going to judge you by the label. It's removing the criticisms, it's removing the judgments, it's removing the perfection that we all try to be for someone else's eyes. So all of those things, but it's always subjective to who you are and what it is you're willing to selflessly give of yourself to be in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. These are my maracas, y'all. These are my maracas. Okay, yeah, I definitely agree with that. But so because you display selfless love, does that mean that you still don't like have some type of love for yourself? Like how do you find a balance between the two of self-love and selfless love? Because some people love too selflessly.
Okay. So let me say this. In order for anyone, in my opinion, professional and non-professional, to love someone else and to be in love and to be in a loving relationship, if you don't love yourself, nothing else is gonna matter. It's not. You have to have a level of love for you in order for you to have any type of love for somebody else. Because if you really don't, then you are projecting your ideas of what love should feel like, be, and receiving from that person onto a person. It's almost like you're setting them up for failure because of your preconceived notions, what they need to do to ensure that you feel loved. If you don't love yourself, do you love yourself, Lemon Squeeze?
Of course.
Why do you love yourself? Why do you love yourself?
Because I'm amazing.
About you. Name 2 things that's amazing about you.
I'm really smart and I'm fun. No, I don't know. I gotta get you. This was not on the list.
Mason, do you love yourself?
Definitely.
Name 2 reasons why you love yourself.
I think because I'm kind, I'm honest. Just 2?
Well, that was one of the things. Come again.
Why do I love myself? I think that I love myself because I am selfless. I think I love myself because of the person that I've become. I think I've loved myself. I know that I love myself because of the person that I've become. I know that I love myself because I would rather be no one else. So
I love myself for the resourcefulness that I bring to the table, and just how naturally nurturing I am to anyone around me.
Okay. Why you love yourself, Dr. Walker?
Because I am.
Because I am.
I am just. I have evolved so much in my life that I have no other choice, because if I don't love me enough to love myself, I can't expect no one else to love me, because my love for me allows me to love other people. That's why I love myself. Because if I couldn't extend that love that I have in me to others, what am I doing?
Because my answer was because I'm smart and I'm fun. That sounded like real free-spirited.
But that's what you love about yourself. You love that you're smart. You love that you are ambitious. You love that you are a go-getter. I can name things about you because I know you that show why you love yourself. You know where you came from. Mason knows where he came from. Corinne knows where she came from. She knows what she's bringing to the table for herself, not for somebody else. Because sometimes you have to eat alone. And can you do it?
Can y'all eat alone?
All the time.
That's right.
You know, Mason. Oh gosh, that was a good one. That one hit her. Yo, Dr. Walker, sometimes your points be like, they be like poking at us.
They hit me first. Don't feel bad.
All right, as long as they hit you first. All right. So what does selfish love look like?
Oh, that's easy.
So obviously selfish prioritizes itself, right? It can lead to hurt, disappointment, and resentment, and unwilling to change. And I always say this, and I really got to work on this. This is one of the many things that I'm still working on. Everybody's still a work in progress. I always tell my partner, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's a cop-out, though, y'all. But your way or the highway. This is my natural way of thinking. This goes back to question number 3, survival mode, blah, blah, blah. Everything's always my way or the highway. And I'm really working on that. I'm happy to have somebody working with me through that.
Shout out to Side Panel.
Oh my God. Nobody's ever saw this person on the show, I promise.
That is a fact.
Go ahead, Mason.
For me, selfish love is just sometimes making sure that your love isn't taken advantage of, or your love isn't stepped on, walked on, or you as a person isn't stepped on or walked on. So just making sure that you're giving love to people that deserve it. So don't put yourself in a situation that you're taking less than, or you are less than someone else that you're in love with. So that's
Oh
how
my
I saw
gosh,
it.
Mason, how did you internalize that question?
Yeah,
What
he
the
took
I
that
self?
internalize all the
way.
questions. Every time I answer the question, I look at it from a different point of view. Like I
Both
try not to
sides.
look at it at face value.
No, I know. I was just trying to figure out because sounds like how do you feel like you love yourself selfishly? You're not out here giving out your love because your love is so great that you need to like make sure it's given to the right person.
I think
Selfish.
everyone should. I think everyone should love the right person. I don't think you should ever like love the wrong person. If you do, you should love them enough to know to leave them alone.
Okay, Corinne. Selfish love look like?
No, so that was I like Mason's perspective because I wasn't even thinking about that,
I
right?
wasn't
But
thinking about it either.
I totally wasn't even thinking about that, but it is valid because I know for me, once I had my daughter and I was doing things for her, doing things for my man, and myself was constantly last, everyone's like, you need to be selfish right now with your time. So in that sense, yes, you need to set up boundaries and give yourself the space and the time to enjoy yourself and offer yourself that self-love and nurture and care that you need. On the flip side of that, somebody who is loving selfishly, I don't think there's a such thing as selfish love. As you said, those two things don't go together. But I think certain characteristics of a person who is using you, in a sense of like looking for a gain or looking for some sort of come up, they're not really interested in what you want and need. So I was thinking of it from that sense, someone who is not necessarily ready to give up their self to support you and meet you where you are so that you both can elevate together.
Okay. I don't know if I'm done yet. Because selfish love exists in more than just romantic relationships. So I guess that's where Mason was coming from. It's like literally being selfish with your love, your time, with yourself, not giving it to people who are completely undeserving. That's where, I'm not saying, because Corinne, you're not saying that obviously your daughter and your man was not undeserving, but you needed to save something for yourself. So sometimes you need to be selfish with yourself. You can't give yourself to everybody because what you going to have for yourself.
Exactly.
Got that. Dr. Walker.
Okay, so selfish love in a relationship looks narcissistic. It looks codependent. Loving selfishly in a relationship, it looks like balance. I'm going to give you the best that I got, but I need this 15 minutes for me. And I'm going to communicate that with you so you don't feel like I'm pushing you to the side. So selfish love is me, and never you. Never us. It's me. If my needs aren't met, if I don't feel satisfied, if you're not giving me what I want, it's spoiled. It's like, who's the most, think about it in a child. A child is so spoiled because they can cry and we are running to the rescue of this child. We don't know what the problem is, and they can simply just want to hug because it's about satisfying the me. And when you don't satisfy the me, the cries get louder, the behavior gets worse. And as an adult, what does that look like? Yeah, I don't know what it looks like.
It looks like toxic.
It looks like toxicity. It looks like cheating. It looks like lying. It looks like covetousness. It looks like a lot of different things. And it's selfish. So if there's a selfishness in a relationship, is it a relationship? If there's a balance of selfish to me, because I've satisfied with the family needs and I need this 15 minutes or I need this girls' night out, but I'm communicating that with you, is it still selfish? Or this Mason night out, I'm sorry, Mason. Or the bros, hang with the bros, is it still selfish?
No, you don't need to hang with the bros, but I do need my trip.
If you're really being honest in a relationship, and this is my opinion, you don't want to be with somebody 24/7. Because if you do, you need to look at the reasons why you need to be with that person 24/7. Why?
That's true.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so you said selfishness can look like codependency. What does so the people out there who may not know what codependency looks like or is, what does that look like? I mean, obviously you said a little bit about it when you said 24/7 being around each other, but
codependency is like a learned behavior, and it's really passed down by learning from other relationships. It's one-sided. It's emotionally destructive, and it can be somewhat abusive emotionally, mostly. There are so many different signs of a codependent person. You're people pleasing. You don't have any boundaries. You have poor self-esteem. You're constantly being a caretaker. You're reactive. You have poor communication. Sometimes you look like you need to be held. It's a dependency on a person, and it's usually with a person who's a bit of a narcissist. It's not just with anybody. Those two literally kind of latch into one another.
Wow.
And that's a whole bigger topic of situations.
you need to send us a list of topics because we need to know what we got to talk about to the people, because I didn't know that codependency was that. I thought that codependency just looked like
I need you, don't leave me. No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, that's more selfishness. I need you, don't leave me. Because you're leaving me is going to take away what I need. My selfishness is not being met. My need is not being met. Opposed to, oh, you want to go out on the trip? Okay, babe. Supporting. So it's selfishness is the opposite of being supportive. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody and it's constantly, no, don't do it without me. No, we got to do it together. It's but so much stuff you want to do with a person. Sometimes you need a moment, because that's how you keep your butterflies going. Mm-hmm. That's how you keep the trust fresh. If I can't let you go, then because I have my own fears about why you're going, that's selfish of me because I'm not trusting you. Right. But if I know you and I know that you love me, I'm going to support you wherever you want to go. You want to go to China? Call me when you get there. Because I know that you love me and you're coming back to be with just me. Because I satisfy the needs that you want.
Woo. Dr. Walker
dropped bombs. And just for clarity, Dr. Walker, can women be narcissists too, or is it just a male trait?
Okay. They can be
checking. I took a poll about this, and women were not aware that women can be narcissists as well.
Do they think that only men could be narcissists?
Yes, and my predominantly women followers were like, nah, that's a male trait.
Okay, so first of all, Mason, what does a narcissist look like?
Oh, you want to go through it?
Do you got it right there? Or you got to go through it?
I'm define what I thought it was.
I just say crazy.
Can I just say something? It's a difference between a narcissist and a narcissist personality disorder. So just want to clarify their differences.
Oh, well,
what is the difference? What's the difference, Dr. Walker?
You can have traits and personality characteristics of a narcissist, and you can literally have a narcissistic personality disorder, which is in the DSM-5.
Okay, so what is a narcissist and what's a narcissist disorder? Real quick, just give me like three things.
It's an inflated sense of your own importance in anyone's life. Okay, so what does the disorder look that same way? Characteristics would include excessive attention, admiration, troubled relationships, lack of empathy, because it's all about you. And if it's not all about you, then nothing else matters. And you become victimized because you have a grandiose sense of your importance. You live in a fantasy that supports your own delusion of grandeur. Because it's me. It's all about me. I'm it. It takes the work out of being in a relationship. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, you're working at it. You're working at always, building and being better. A narcissist is it. You have to work to impress me. And what the codependent does, I'm people pleasing. I gotta please this person. That's why they sort of kind of go good together. So all the women who may have said that to you, that women can't be, you should have hit them with the, well, you're a codependent. Because are you trying to please this narcissist that you're trying to be with?
Ma'am, I wasn't that developed at the time of the questioning, but now that I am, I will definitely have those rebuttals ready.
Now you're gonna be
that was
out here
good.
telling all the girls that they're narcissists and codependent, but they're not.
Don't-
But let me just be fair across the board. Every person in every underdeveloped relationship has some of these traits because they were learned in our relationships or what we saw in relationships on television or in whatever we saw. So I want to be fair. We all can have the traits or characteristics of any of these at any given time in our developing relationships. But the mature person, like you said, you're maturing, you're going to recognize out of love when it's brought to your attention, and you're going to want to change the behavior. Why? Because of love. Because what love is doing and producing in your life.
She's been killing this show today. Power Love, the Dr. Walker Show. You hear her hush her mouth. That's what we're calling this segment when she's on once a month.
What?
We talked about that.
Shit, hold on.
Kareem, did you have anything you wanted to add or no?
No. You guys all hit really valid points, so I'm good.
Okay, so Nalia in the comments says, always putting your needs before your partner is selfish. Nalia says, you don't take accountability for anything. It's selfish. And yes, that is all probably the traits of narcissism. And I'm not going to say codependency because I'm not really well versed on that yet. So, yes.
I'm sorry. I have a question for you all, though, because do you think that love, do you feel like there's just one thing, boom, this is love, I know how to identify it when I see it, or do you feel like it could actually vary by culture and where you are in the world?
I think that me being raised on survival, we talked about this, right? So like I look at love differently. So I'm learning love newly in my new life now that I'm no longer being like in survival mode. Does that make sense? So I definitely think that there's like levels to love, like, right? I finally learned the love of a parent at 16 years old, 17 years old. That's when I started to learn the love of parental love. And so now I know what that looks like. I'm 31 and I think that now I'm here and I'm learning like love of relationships. I think during my 20s, I learned love of self. If this is to answer your question, I'm not sure if I'm answering it.
No,
But
yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
I think that there's definitely like different points in times. It depends on where you are and how you're ready to receive it. I'm not saying that the people that I've been with before we both wasn't ready to love each other right. I wasn't ready to receive it. So now I am in my 30s. What do you think, Mason?
I think love is different for everyone. I think everyone's love language is different. I think everyone's acceptance and receiving love is different. I don't think there's a cookie cutter. This is what love is for you, and you all have to subscribe to the same actual love. So I think it's different for everybody. I think it changes and it morphs and it grows based on your values, based on the things that you need and things like that, how you receive love and how much you want to give it. So for me, it's different all the way across. So I don't think it's the same for anyone, any two people.
Dr. Walker.
Love is a many splendid thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to answer that. And honestly, I'm going to be honest. Love can literally knock you off your feet when you don't expect it to. And then love can also pick you off the ground when you're down there. So it's almost like you don't know. When you see it, you may feel it. You know, like you can look at somebody like there's something different about this person. And it draws you to want to know them. It draws you to want to, be in their presence. And it's in that presence of that person you begin to realize what it is you're feeling or experiencing. Like, okay, so big secret is I really do believe in love. Like, I believe in the power of romantic love, intimate love, communicative love, because it's all a part of who we were designed to be. So yeah, that's my little hidden secret.
Oh, thank you for the hidden secret. She's dropping. Well, this is our last question, right? This is our last question.
Mhm.
What is the true power of love? We talked a lot about love on this show. This show was definitely insightful. What is the true power of love? Anybody?
I mean, I think we've all built on our perspective of the power of love throughout the last 2 weeks. I think it's many things. It's everything. It's just many things. I think it can give you, like Dr. Walker said, it can knock you down. It can pick you up. It can make you feel highest of the high. It can make you feel the lowest of the low. It could range from every emotion, heartbreak. It can be, that joy of seeing certain things. For me, when I'm talking about like kids, for you when you're talking about side panel, for Kori, maybe when she's talking about her child's father and her child and that stuff. For Dr. Walker, it could be, when she's helping people. I think all those things are a part of love, and I think all those things are a part of, the power of love.
Well, I think that love is essential in the development and how we love and how we receive love, as we talked about. Now, that's going to be like my little overview. Love subconsciously affects us in many ways that we need to identify and overcome to be mentally and emotionally free, right? Love in any form equates to freedom. Boom. That was my life. And then,
I feel like true power of love is a reminder of the power of God. Because if you look at, even if you're coming out of heartbreak and you're at a low, and I've had people who were like, I'm about to kill myself because my boyfriend broke up with me, they go to bed asking God to please take this pain away. And so it reminds you and bring you back to sources. And it's through that you could find strength. And on the other end of that, you have people that are so in love who feel like they're floating and like, dang, I'm really close to God right now because I'm so in love. You feel like you're on this high. And so it's a reminder of the spirit that's running through you, and also the connectedness that you have with people around you and just the earth in general.
and it's so funny that you said that. It's so funny that you said that. Because Mel, who's not here, is in our comments, and she says, allowing your relationships to be led by God is the true power of love, because God is love. And that goes back to when she first started her segment off with last week, which we hope and wish you well. We want you to get better to come back here to hush your mouth. We was looking forward to you. We praying for you over here. But God is love.
Yeah.
Like, that's really it. But Dr. Walker, you can take this home for us.
Technically, because God is love, the ability to understand that even in pain, that it's so critical, because people sometimes are like, well, if God is love, then why this and why that? But at the same time, that same thing, that same why this or what that, it helps you to even understand how much you've overcome because of love. You never gave up when love didn't work out. You never gave up when it didn't turn out the way you wanted it, because we all recognize that there is something so much greater, and that greater is God. And God gives us the ability to love one another, and that's, love does cover a multitude of pains. Love does cover a multitude of desires, because it allows you to feel an emotion that is so sacred. I think when you first did this, the first segment, I kind of said that, we don't love each other unconditionally. We have conditions on our love. God has no conditions on how much he loves each of us. And because of that love that he has for us, it allows us to love others. And when you begin to tap into that type of love, then you begin to really understand the power of what love is in your life, for not just your sons and your daughters, but for one another. And that, to me, is the most critical piece. Love for one another. Not the romantic love, just love. Think about how much this world could be different if it was just on love. Just love. when you think about when 9/11 happened and all these tragic things, there was so much love. What happened to the love? You're capable of doing it. You showed us that you have love for humanity, but it's gone. So for me, it's like rediscovering that love that can give you those butterflies that Mason doesn't believe in. So yeah, that's love.
I don't. Not every day.
You gonna
Maybe
get
like
some butterflies,
6
Mason.
days out the week. You need a break.
You gotta send you some butterflies.
Right, you
We
need a
wanna
break.
get you
Let
some
the
butterflies.
butterflies,
Somebody
let
get
the
me some
butterflies fly
That
out
is
of the
not a
garden.
mission we are all on.
Right.
Listen, guys, this was a great 2 weeks of the power of love. We really had to break it down into part 1 and part 2. And Mel, we love you too. You know you in our prayers. We want you to come back. We praying for you. You want a prayer line. But this was such a great topic, and I really want everybody to like give us feedback. Let us know how you. I know there's a lot of people listening. I know there's a lot of people just watching. They're like Mason. They're just sitting here listening because there's some very great points, and you need to be able to digest this. This was one of those type of episodes here on Hush Your Mouth. But in the meantime, between time, y'all can catch us again next week on Tuesday at 8. What are we talking about next week, Mason? Polygamy? How you got from love to polygamy?
That's love. That's big love.
That's a lot of love for a lot of people.
That's
and
a
lot
whole
of
lot of love. Yeah.
And it ain't for everybody. Okay? And so you can catch me anytime, any place at lemon_squeeze3. Who's going next? Y'all can catch Dr. Walker. If you DM me, I could like set you up with a session. If you need a session, DM me in order to get a session with Dr. Walker. If that's something that you are. Polly is love, Melinda. Polly is love, Melinda.
Let's not judge. Let's not shame.
I'm not shaming. I wasn't shaming. I was just like surprised. Polly is love. But go ahead, Karen.
You can find me on Instagram at Kori CORRI_Mac MAC, or you can find me on my business page, Royal Roots Co. And I create spiritual healing products. So for the people who are trying to figure out, dang, I had all these traumas growing up, how I don't know where to start, how I release it, I have products that can help to support you through your journey and your spiritual evolution. Find me there.
Mason, where we can find you at? You know.
As always, you can find me on Instagram at YNVS_. It's Mason. No DMs, please.
DM him, y'all, because he needs love.
DM the Hush Your Mouth Instagram page.
Thank you guys for joining in on another episode of Hush Your Mouth. Until next time, hush your mouth or speak out. Or speak out or hush your mouth. Which one was it? I don't remember.